Thank you, River. It's going to work better when the sound's on. Yeah, it's our function. Namaste and welcome. We're welcome each other home to the light, actually, infinite light of being. It's the only place worth being. And it's our function to hear Jesus, because it's natural to us to hear Jesus and speak his words and follow him. And so he's just calling us home. We called him, he's come, he's present, everyone can hear him. And so we thought we'd just have a little talk with Jesus and see if anyone has questions for him. I have a few on my phone that people have sent I can start with, but if anyone has something specific, you can just raise your hand and ask. And then he might just say some things and then I'll just hear him, I guess, and say it. But if you hear some things from him too, it's good for everyone to practice speaking their natural voice, which is Jesus's voice. But it's to help us distinguish between the untrue voice, the serpent tongue, the wrong-minded voice, and our true voice. So it's not that anybody can hear any better. It's that we're choosing an experience of not being able to hear what's most natural. So let's see, I had this one that someone had sent in, and I appreciate these questions because I know they're always for me. And Francois said, I want to ask Jesus, is it possible to heal my mind and completely, and how? So, and here's the thing about talking to Jesus, since we can all hear, we can go inside and listen. Let's ask him, Jesus, is it possible to heal my mind completely? Jesus is only going to say yes to that, but you can hear it in your heart. Jesus, is it yes. Because an unhealed mind isn't true. It's untrue. But it's comforting to hear it because we've played so long in this dream bubble that we don't even remember what a healed mind is. Jesus, am I willing to remember what's already healed? Am I willing to remember what's already healed? And how? Work with Jesus. It's really light training. It's really the training to go to the light and have the light interpret everything. Because what needs to be healed is the interpretive function in consciousness, which is it likes to interpret things. It likes to make up little interpretive stories about what's happening and what we're not worthy, and we're not worthy of talking to Jesus. We can't hear Jesus. So that's really what the Course is pointing to, forgiveness, which is to see what's true in the light of divine being. Is this true in the light? And that's the question. Is this really true? The question also to ask Jesus is, will you help me? Are you here to help me? You can get a little love hug on that one. Why I want this desire for OCD, intrusive thoughts, and how to heal it. So first, let's ask Jesus. Jesus, is there a why, a reason I want? See, notice that the light of infinite being, it's just here. It doesn't have a why in it. So through consciousness, there's a play happening of a dream, a pretend. You can ask Jesus, Jesus, is there a play going on here to play like I don't know who I am? Am I pretending not to know? So it's just a little play of pretending that we don't know what we are. So the how question is really good. How can I heal it? Talk to Jesus. Okay, so all we can do is ask him for help to reveal how much we really want that desire more than God. And he's been talking here lately about really getting specific on miracles. What is a miracle? Because we can just throw out, like the ego throw out, change in perception and go like that, and oh, I know what it is. But this is an opportunity to ask Jesus to show me what a miracle is, because we forgot. We decided to have we had a decision to play in consciousness, to actually forget what's natural to us, expressions of divine love. And so we need him to remind us, because this whole, what I realized, we were laughing about this Course in Miracles, it is a Course in Miracles. And then when you dig deeper with Jesus, you see this is a course in how many ways we deny a miracle. How we desire an experience, to play a consciousness, to desire an experience of denying all the miracles, all the love of the Father. So it's really a course in how to see that we've made a decision to deny God's love, and how to talk with Jesus and have him show us all the places in the subconscious mind, specifically where the no's are, so that we can finally see that what we're saying no to down there. See, we think what we're saying no to below our level of awareness is heaven. I mean, we think it's heaven down there. When we say no to God, in the confused mind thinks it's heaven to say no to God. You can ask him, Jesus, am I confused about heaven and hell? So the way to heal it is to find where we think there's heaven in these intrusive thoughts. You can ask them, Jesus, do I believe there's actually heaven in these intrusive thoughts somehow? Did I get confused about what heaven is? So we don't fight the intrusive thoughts. We just go to Jesus and we say, Jesus, okay, so this is intrusive. And show me underneath all of it. Show me what's underneath that that's generating this experience of what you're calling OCD. They call it obsessive compulsive. Guess what? All of consciousness is obsessive compulsive disorder. It's being obsessed with form, obsessed with everything other than light. And so we just have to ask him, okay, Jesus, show me what's generating this below my level of awareness, and how to heal it. Should I use magic? So we just work with Jesus to heal, to release to a miracle, release to a change in perception, that the concept of obsessive compulsive disorder, you got to ask them what's under it. You'll be surprised. Because a lot of times we think we know what needs to be healed, but Jesus is the one that actually, and we can, because we look at these things all day long here, and everyone who cares about forgiveness is looking. But the number of times we would just say, okay, Jesus, I think this needs to be healed. And then when we listen to him, he goes, no, it's not that, it's this. So he's asking, should I use magic, or does he have another plan for me? So I'm just going to ask him. We can all hear it. Ask Jesus. That's his plan for you. His plan for us is to talk to him about everything. That's his plan. Where we need miracles, he's going to guide us specifically where we don't want miracles in the subconscious mind. So we have to follow, listen and follow him. And he'll lead you out of it. I'm asking him if Jesus ever recommends magic. He says in a course, if you believe that magic, and you're too afraid to talk to him, okay, use magic, but it's not really okay. I mean, it's what you believe in, so you're kind of following that so you don't get terrified. But to ask him is the fastest way. See, because what happens is we take magic, and magic works based on belief. So based on belief, you take a piece of magic, then it seems to change the form and you seem to heal, quote unquote. But what it really does is it makes a dive down in that old belief, and the desire is hanging out in the subconscious mind. It's going to go along, I'm fine. All of a sudden it like pops up again. So it's going to reappear because our desire is to have whatever experience, OCD or whatever it is. So it comes up maybe in another way. It might look like a food addiction. It looks all kinds of ways because consciousness loves to hide. In the play of consciousness, it loves to hide these little experiences that it wants to have and then blame it on the brother and blame it on, you know, I was mistreated when I was little, and blames it on all kinds of things. So to clear it fully, here's how, if you want to know how to heal it, ask Jesus to reveal, which he will, the underlying conditions. I will, in your willingness, reveal the underlying conditions that are leading to what seem to be the symptoms up here. But we don't stay with the symptoms. We go, show me. He brings us down. And then we find out where we think that there's heaven in OCD or whatever. It doesn't, it's all the same. Where it's called, he's calling it like the flip. Somehow in this desire for this experience, I think there's heaven in there. Do I? And I asked Jesus, do I still believe somehow that there's heaven in whatever's showing up, being mad, being, and it's like, holy smokes, you know, we're just going, I do believe heaven's in that. That's why it shows up, because I'm wanting the experience, confused, thinking it's heaven. It seems strange. But that's the insanity he's pointing to. We think there's heaven in these experiences. Should I use magic, meds, or does it have he have another plan for me? He definitely has another plan for you. You know, if it seems like in the interim, but the real plan is to just be released from the idea that the Son of God is held hostage by any kind of quote unquote illness of the body, thinking disorders. We just look, does the light have a thinking disorder? The light is light. Light's just pure. It's here. It's already here. It doesn't have a thinking disorder. A thinking disorder is a desired experience for thinking and feeling disordered. You can ask Jesus. Jesus. So we don't judge our brother, whatever's showing up. If it shows up in front of us, then we look. That's what so I'll go to Jesus myself and I'd say, okay, Jesus, OCD, is there something, what do I need to see here? What gift is Francois bringing me by asking this question? He says to talk about what you're talking about now, to be reminded of any place in the mind where an experience is happening, where we're not at peace, and then to see where we think that's actually heaven in that insanity. And then we can look again and release. A miracle is a release to the desired experience, that what we're experiencing has some kind of value to us. And you go, boy, that's a mouthful. That is insane. But when you really see it with Jesus, that's the experience here. It's like, holy smokes, Jesus, I could just feel things. You know, he'd be showing me like, I want this more than God. I don't care about God. As far as I'm concerned, God can take a hike, you know, when he's really bringing us deep. So, oh my gosh, thank you, Jesus. Should I use magic? Jesus doesn't give magic assignments that I know. I've asked him about it. So for me, he just doesn't give. And after a while, you see that magic won't work because you won't have the beliefs to support it. It won't seem to work. It never works, but it seems for a time it works. Now, I've told this story before where I had hurt my foot and it was all bruised. And I was used to going to a rolfer and used to going massage. And I just, in Jesus, okay, you know, I went and did that. But he says, he's telling me this now, I can hear him. See this for what it is. It's a holy encounter. It's not about the foot. See, we never healed at the level of symptoms. We're healed at the desire for the experience for the symptom. So anyway, I knew it would work, and I just worked with Jesus. See, it's an opportunity to go, okay, obviously, he told me, he's reminding me again, you wanted to have an experience where you break your foot for whatever reason. But you can't really, because, after a while, we clear these things from consciousness anymore, so it'll show up. But the number of times, like, I'd have some experience, like I've talked about, really twisted my knee, like impossibility, like to ever walk. And where I just started working with Jesus to look at it with him. And the quote unquote healing, because it's not, the healing is not at the form level. Healing is never about a change in a body, ever. Ask him. Jesus, no. So one of you sure to say exactly what he's saying. It's always the body, what's in form is reflecting the power of the mind to pretend like it can be bound by some idea in consciousness. So what's the way that lasts forever is to look with him at the desire for the experience and then release it to a miracle. And the number of times he showed me that with pain, I could just be with, and then start looking at that pain. It was like, I really want this. Boy, do I want this pain. I could really, you could go down there. I've talked about it, and you see the little devil that wants it down there. It's like, oh, there's a part of me that really wants to outpicture this pain to prove and use it to prove a body. And God's dead. And he says, I want to heal. Yes, that's why we're all together. I do have a perceptual problem. Isn't that beautiful? Misperception, to admit we're perceiving wrongly. Great step. That's honesty of God. I love this honesty of God. I admit it, Jesus. I'm having pain or whatever. I must be mistaken. And then he'll help us step through. So Jesus does have a plan for all of us. Thank God for that. It's not going to be the plan we think we're getting, though. It won't be anything like we think it's going to be. That's the experience here, not a scrap of it. It's his plan. He was making that so clear to me yesterday and to this morning. Like, it's his plan. He's in charge of the atonement. And when we get the commands from him, we say yes. It's like that joke, perennial joke. When you hear how high, when someone says jump, you say how high, and that's how you deal with Jesus. That's experience here. How high, when, to the point. Because I could see, oh, that's a nice prompt, Jesus. So, well, how about in a week from now? Like, that's what the ego is going to do with that. It's like, no. It's like, Jesus, when did you want that? I'm seeing it. There's leaving a little tension still. Exactly when. So we're really on point with him because he knows what's most helpful for healing the mind. He's in charge of the atonement. He knows the timing. See, if when we say, oh, that's a nice prompt, and then we want to, the play of consciousness is to extend the timeline. So it's going to go, okay, Jesus, how about in a week? How about tomorrow? So we just go, Jesus, what's your timing on that? Where am I going? But he says, then we can relax. He's reminding me that this morning. Then you can just rest back and let me handle the time and space rearrangements. Take care of everything for you. So that's a question. Are we willing to let Jesus take care of? He's telling me we're willing to let him take care of what we want him to take. So we got to give it all over. Okay, we consciousness in the play. There's no words for it. It's a decision in mind as powerful infinite being to say nothing else matters more than seeing that I'm the light as God made me. That's the. So yes, I do. Yes. That's the first step, saying that we want to heal. So we're trading the wanting of being unhealed for wanting to heal, until we see and go, wait a minute, I've always been healed. There's nothing to heal. But because the play of consciousness has died in the bubble and be unhealed. Jesus has some work to do before we finally admit, wait a minute, there's nothing to heal. Oh my gosh. So that's why he's telling us we're insane, but he's willing to work with us. So we'll go with that. So River, I'm going to ask on mute. You wanted to say something. You were hearing a call or you want a question. So, but you'll have to unmute yourself because we can't unmute you if you're there.
Did you read the chat already?
No, yeah, she said I called to speak when it is available. So I'm not sure. We might have lost her. She might be frozen. Did we lose you, River? Or are you there? I think she might have frozen.
She had to come back in.
Okay, she might have to jump back in. Internet connection. So yeah, does anyone else have a question for Jesus? Hopefully she'll jump back in. Okay.
A question that just came in.
Okay.
Do I believe there's heaven in usurping the power of God?
That question came in. Okay, now is this a question for Jesus that we're asking him? So, okay, say the question again. Do I believe
Heaven is in usurping the power of God?
So let's all ask him. Jesus, is there heaven in trying to usurp the power of God? Is that a belief in consciousness? And am I still holding on that? Now, what's really helpful about this question, these are the get honest with Jesus questions. Like these are the kind of questions, and he'll start giving you the questions to ask them too. That's experience here. He'll even start telling you what, and this is a good one. So then we can go in and ask him about that question. What is he telling you?
First, yes. Yeah, there's an idea that I can be powerless. That
Yeah, it's really interesting that usurping the power of God, which Jesus uses in A Course in Miracles, and you'll see it in chapter 20, is the desire for powerlessness, which you're starting to refer to, Renee. It's powerless is a great one to have a long talk with Jesus. Usurping the power of God is the belief that, the world acts on us.
Yeah, he would have me see right now that I have all the power to see completely through the desire.
Oh, that's beautiful.
For powerlessness. That I need do nothing. Just look with him. Just look with him at it. And as light.
Mm.
Mm. Mm. But yeah, I can spend more time with him on it.
Now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what is he saying now? What else? And is he
Yeah.
saying about this? Because this is for everyone. See, when we come and we ask a question, it's very holy. It's a holy because we're really opening up for everyone the dialogue, and that all of our answers, every one of us is answered directly by Jesus if we're willing. So it's the holdback.
Mm. It's the last unanswered question of just completely accepting divine light as the only reality, as absolute reality. Seeing that that's all there is. There's no way to yeah, it can only be denied. That's it. And even that is not true. Um, yeah, it's just a mistake. And there's nowhere to go from this, just to light. It's here now, always. Uh, yeah, it's just natural. It's just having a conversation with him. And dropping all ideas about what it looks like or sounds like or tastes like or all the ideas uh, of an outcome. Like, yeah, just acceptance of light as it is. and yeah, this is holy.
So when we read this question right here, Renee, it's so beautiful, to hear him speak and let these words like bloom inside when he talks to us. So much love comes. You just feel that little, Muji calls it, gets sweeter and sweeter, like a ripening fruit. So on something like this,
Do I believe heaven is in usurping the power of God?
So that's the flip he's talking about. And so that's what the real miracle is. The miracle is the release of the idea that we believe heaven is actually in usurping the power. So that's the flip. So that's why we have to ask Jesus if we accepted a miracle, because otherwise there's a little tricky way down there that some part of us is going to try to hold on to the heaven part. We think, oh, I got this covered, I'm more powerful than God thing. So we just check in with them and go, Jesus, have I really accepted the miracle on this? What's the holdback? And we just listen for yes or no. So we listen together because we can all hear it. There's no escaping it. Okay. Do we go deeper, Jesus, on this? Okay, we'll go deeper. Yeah, it's like, no. So that's honesty of God. He's going to tell us where we're trying to ooch out of the miracle. And usually, again, we think if we think something means heaven for us, like even if it's bizarre, like usurping the power of God, that means we also have like the counterbalance that holds us in place, that not only heaven's in it, so that means we'll lose heaven if we choose to cease to usurp the power of God. Now, if that's not backwards enough, but that's the way it works. Ask Jesus. Is that the way it works in consciousness?
You could probably repeat that.
I don't know if I can repeat it. Let me see, Jesus, you better give it to me again. So we're really looking at how insane this whole thing is. So if we think heaven's in it, then there's also this countering loss that I will lose heaven if I cease to usurp the power of God. Now, when he starts telling you yes to these things, is that right? You can feel it? Yeah. So that's the loss. So the ego plays like it's loss to stop usurping the power of God. You can start feeling these things go up your back, When he's right, he's right. Okay. So we need his help, to unwind the mind from these concepts that we think it's so true, but we've hidden it down there, subconscious mind. Okay, so is there any other like little hidden benefit down in the catacomb, Jesus, for usurping the power of God? See, these little things down in the catacomb like that, this is a gift Renee's given all of us, because we can see, first of all, we can see what the flip is. The flip is the full acceptance, why we're not fully accepting all miracles, and why we're not saying yes unequivocally to the last unanswered question. See, and then we go directly to abstract. Do not pass go, you go to abstract. But you even need to tell Jesus to tell you whether, yes, you've really fully accepted. Because the ego go, yeah, I accepted the last unanswered. No, you didn't. No. You have to go, Jesus, have I accepted that last question? And then he'll tell you yes or no. But he knows it takes a lot of relationship with him, because we're so acclimated to heaven, true heaven, what he's offering to be lost. See, this is how it works in that babuha, that crazy bubble. We start getting close to true heaven, then we go, no. And we kind of skim off the top and go, oh, no, because I'll sacrifice. that the sacrifice is turning and going down into the bubble. Now, that's not insanity, but so what all he's saying with that last unanswered question, we have to look at the desire for powerlessness, because we think usurping the power of God, and powerlessness is we think diving into the bubble is the path to heaven. So we need change in perception that the dive into the bubble is the means to go to heaven. That's the change in perception that's needed. That it's valuable to dive into the and usurp the power of God by diving in, and that experience of powerlessness. So then we just check in with them and go, okay,
Is the light here?
is the light here? What's the light check? Light check.
See?
So we check, we can see the light. Then we can look at this whole thing with Jesus from the light perspective. Who's usurping the power of God? Who's that? In the honesty of God, is it possible actually usurp the power of God? We'll really look. It's God up there going, oh, you usurped me today. It's just our excuse for not accepting the last unanswered question. That's just the play. But Jesus, if you look carefully, he does not come out and beat you with a whip because you didn't accept it. No, he just says, come, because you'll beat yourself enough with a whip. Because that's how it works. Say no to God and then punish yourself for it. Am I relishing all the punishment I'm getting from usurping the power of God? And that's what we think heaven is, in punishment.
Mm-hmm. And relishing hell.
And relishing hell. Mm.
Yeah.
Jesus, are we ready for a miracle? So sometimes we need the pre-miracle to the miracle. That's what we call it. It's funny. So we can laugh a little, instead of getting too serious about it, we can go, okay, Jesus, am I willing to have a miracle, to be willing to look? So I need the Holy Spirit to help decide for me that it's my best interest to really look at this straight on. So I would ask for, because there were things he'd be showing me, and it's like, I don't want to even look at this. I don't want to get close to it at all. So I needed like a pre-miracle to even look. And we need a lot of pre-miracles before we're willing to answer that last unanswered question. And he knows it. He knows we're not going to just say yes to the unanswered question. We're going to we're going to bounce around for a while, trying to prove that we're more powerful than God, until we go, that hurts. It is not working. Because we don't want to admit that we're powerful enough to change all of it. Jesus, am I willing to admit that I'm powerful enough to change all this by choosing differently?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Now we got some traction. Traction added. Traction against that force. It seems to hold us locked into the dream bubble. See, that's the second stage rocket. Because we're accepting that we do have the power to transcend what seems like the asteroid belt that's on the other. As we start to hit the atmosphere, break free of the atmosphere of the ego and go to divine light. Does he say anything else, Renee?
Just the pieces of the rocket fall away. They fall away as we go, and then it's only right. I just was taking some notes.
Yeah, heaven is in usurping the power of God. And we were also, she's reminding me, we were also, and I think I was talking about earlier, we're also learning to ask Jesus to tell us which questions to ask. This is helpful. So we can all ask him, Jesus, what questions do I need to ask you? And see if anything else comes up for us to ask him.
Yeah, do I want powerlessness more than God?
What does he say?
Yes.
So that's honesty of God. So that's a good step. We admit we want powerlessness more than God. That is a big step. It's like, oh, Jesus, I do want powerless.
Mm-hmm.
Can I release it to a miracle? You help me? And some of these, as I've said before, like I was really looking at powerlessness with them. It takes several, for me, I guess, let me add. He's just saying, let it be as it is. So so just let powerlessness just be with it, admit, oh, how much we want it, and kind of let it, the desire for it rise up and clear. And then I go, okay, Jesus, do I still want powerlessness? And then he'd say yes or no. And he said, yes, I just let that powerlessness, okay, give it to me, Jesus. I'm willing to see it. And it'd be just waves of wanting it and just seeing. It's like, God, I want that. I just really want that more than God. I just want to be powerless. The same with usurping the power of God. Jesus, am I willing to see the desire for powerlessness all the way through with you? Because that's the starting point. If we're willing just to see it and keep releasing that powerless, and then start seeing how every twitch is a play for powerlessness. See, because we want the seem to have this big fat world acting on us. Big old world, and I'm powerless to it. I'm powerless to the body sensations. I'm powerless. And he's going, no, it's for me, I'm not powerless to whatever's appearing in consciousness. You see, we carry the power of God. That was a good one, Renee. Nice and deep. Is there anything else he's saying? The first feel pretty complete for the moment.
Yeah.
Feels pretty complete. So we check in with Jesus. He's in control of the questions and the answers. Okay, Jesus. And then we just open the floors. Is anyone else that would like to have questions to ask Jesus, or hearing anything from Jesus we need to ask?
Yeah, Kay.
Hi, Kathy.
Hi. I'm not sure what my specific question is, but I'm wanting to know from Jesus how I can stop going into fear when my physical symptoms really flare up. It's like every time there seems to be a regression or I can't think of the right word, but whenever there seems to be a flare up of my health challenges, I get very easily, I go easily into fear and overwhelm. I'm not sure if that's the right question.
It's a great starting point, just the willingness to talk to Jesus. And it's for
Yeah.
all of us. So it's a great gift you lay upon our door. Okay, so Jesus, what do we need to see here? Is this a good thing to look at? I hear yes, a lot of love coming with this. Okay. So the first thing he said to me was, let's go look together and to hear his voice tells Jesus, am I more powerful than this symptom? So it's helpful to see it first. And is the light impacted by any symptom?
The light isn't, but I'll tell you the dream, the reality of the symptoms and the health issues sure seems like it's side by side. It's like totally competing with this light in my own mind.
Yeah, that's great to see because we want to see where we're trying to compete with the light. But is the light competing? Does the light compete?
No.
So that's helpful to see that is it competing or is it a way to obscure the light from awareness?
It's just completely drowning out the light.
Yeah, see how it's just a play. But you can ask Jesus, is regardless of how it plays, is divine light more powerful than this symptom? And what does Jesus say about that? Because I know you hear him really clearly. I mean, like a bell.
I don't know. I just keep it in the sense. I mean, the light cannot be touched by it,
Yes.
but it's just, it's this. It's like I'm seeing it here on the left. This, my experience. of this body is just so
So just take what you think you perceive on the left and place it in the light and see what happens to it.
well, it definitely gets smaller, but it hasn't quite disappeared.
So just ask him, Jesus, for the little part that hasn't disappeared, do I believe there's heaven in keeping it? Do I relish keeping that little part and holding on to it? Because that's what we need to see with him, that these things that are arising are actually desired. It's so freeing to see it, that we really do want them. Then it's just such a straight path in. So as soon as we start seeing that relishing of the symptom, you'll see it. It'll start to melt and go to, and just like, oh, I want that. It'll start to melt and go to love. It just opens. It's like a flower opening. We have to see how we think heaven is in these things that appear in consciousness. I think we can get love through these symptoms. Jesus, am I willing to see that I can't get love through these symptoms? That I can't get peace through these symptoms? I can't get... Because on the surface level, we know we can't, but in a subconscious level, below our level of awareness, if they're appearing, we're thinking that heaven's in them. It's part of like the desire. This is helpful because we can start to look with Jesus to see. You can ask him, Jesus, is having these symptoms and feeling susceptible to them part of the powerless play in consciousness? It's like, that is wicked powerful to see. Because then we can't be tricked by him anymore.
don't know. I'm not getting anything specific. I feel like there's a block.
Okay. And what does Jesus say about the block?
That I don't want to see it.
That is helpful to see. That's for all of us. That's for all of us. And is he telling you why you don't want to see, what's underneath that? If you saw it, what do you think would happen if you saw it?
It's kind of vague, but it's like my means of getting something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Trying to get something through the pain and the symptoms. We're trying to get something. We think we can get heaven through them. You can ask them, Jesus, do I think I can get heaven through pain symptoms? And this is for all of us because it's how conscious, not personal, it's just how consciousness moves to have experiences, but it's powerful to see through it. We actually think we can get to the kingdom of heaven through body symptoms. We can just do yes, no. You can say, is that true, Jesus?
I mean, it's feeling like a yes, but I'm still not seeing clearly why.
That it's okay just to take the yes, because we just go a little step at a time. So yes, what was the yes to?
Well,
Yes,
the question was, can I get heaven through it? And what I heard was that I think there's something to gain from it.
yes, that's what we think we're gaining. And ask him, Jesus, do I think I'll lose something if I give up these symptoms?
Yes.
And so you can see, so Jesus, can I be confused about the value of symptoms to me? Could I be confused about that? That I'm confused. I think these symptoms are valuable, but I got confused. They're not valuable. More valuable than God. And that's all we're going to see another way. We're just going to see if that's true and I'm wrong, I flipped it. Am I willing to have a miracle to change a perception that the symptom has value?
I don't think I'm ready yet, because I can still sense, even though I can't pinpoint it, I'm still sensing the feeling that there's something to lose if
Yes.
if I were to give them up.
Yes. But it's helpful. Look how powerful. It's very helpful to see this, because this is how he's showing all of us how consciousness works to keep these symptoms in play. The only way it can keep the symptoms in play, because the light has no symptoms, the only way to keep it in play is to dive deeper in the bubble. You can ask him, Jesus, am I using these symptoms to keep myself inside the dream bubble?
Yeah, it's to keep me identified with a body, identified as a body.
So the great thing about body symptoms is they can be the direct way out if you're talking to Jesus about them. Because that's like a little ego trump card. Here's proof that I'm a body. And now Jesus is using them to show they're being used to prove that a body exists. So we feel like if we lose this proof, there's loss. That's the only way those things can play in consciousness. We think that there's loss if we lose the body symptoms. So that's what we need, a change in perception. We need a change in perception through a miracle that a body symptom has some value. But like you're saying, there's a piece of personal identity that gets held on to. You do see that, to deny it, to keep us in play, keep us in the play of consciousness, keep us in the play of feeling powerless to whatever's happening in the body. But we can only dream it because light isn't in the play. Light just is. Love is. If this symptom goes away, does the light lose anything, or it just stays the same, infinite? And Jesus, am I using this to pretend like the light doesn't exist? I can only pretend, because it's still there no matter what. We keep looking and that light's there. Can't get rid of it no matter what.
I just have this feeling of like, it's about guilt. It's like, I'm not worthy of this healing. I'm not worthy of the light.
That's beautiful to see, but let's get Jesus. What does Jesus say?
I am the light.
So it's too late. You're already the light. That's beautiful. That's taking it from the one who knows. And is the light saying, no, too bad, you got to keep the body symptoms?
I don't know. I just, it's like this feeling of guilt and undeserving is just so strong right now.
Okay, so just ask Jesus to show you what's under the guilt and undeserving. What's under that? Is Jesus saying you have to have guilt and unworthiness? See, we have to go to the light for its interpretation. What is the light saying it is? Ego is going to throw all kinds of stones in the bush. Like Muji says, it throws stones in the bush. Ask Jesus, Jesus, was that little stone in the bush going? Because it's powerful seeing to have Jesus tell you directly, you are the light. You can go, oh, I can't, So you can ask him again, Jesus, even if this guilt arises, am I still the light? Or is that trying to obscure the light from awareness again? See, it's just a little play. Is that a little play in consciousness? It just kind of plays like, I'm going to try to obscure the light, that I am the light. But can it really obscure the light?
No, but it should making a damn good effort to try to pull me down.
That's the great thing, is to see the desire in consciousness for an experience of being pulled down. Because you're the light. So can the light be pulled down?
It cannot be pulled down.
So is the light first or the guilt? In our direct experience is divine being. See that the light is before all else. And then this little tiny mad idea arises that we're not the light. Even when Jesus tells us, you are the light. So that's all. Are we willing to accept the miracle, the change in perception that this body's symptom has value? That's all. And see that there's no way to get to heaven with it. We were totally confused. It's totally discombobulated. It was just,
Oh, yes.
yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah. So, and we can all feel it too when that release, the idea that a body symptom's more powerful than light. So we see the truth. Am I willing to see the truth that no symptom can do anything to the light, actually? It's just that usually we're not willing to admit I am the light. And the light's not impacted, but not in a kind of a flippant way, in the heart recognition way. We recognize infinite lights here, and that's it. And I am not beholding to these symptoms. They're appearing because of my desire for them, but Jesus has provided a way to release a desire to deny light. And then I can just follow that. And he'll coach you one. Ask him, Kathy, will he coach you one-on-one through each of those to release them? Because because you're answering for all of us. Is he going to coach us one by one through each of these ideas and consciousness?
What do you mean one by one?
Well, each thing that arises, is he going to coach us to show us, help us see that they're not real? Is he willing to help us work through all these body symptoms that seem so real to show us that they're not real?
He is, but I have to put more trust in him than in the symptoms.
Yes, boy, that's powerful to say. That's it exactly. Like, is Jesus more powerful than any symptom we could ever have? He's reminding me how he says in the New Covenant, I may say this in the course, but you do not believe you have the strength to your release, thus you must rely on mine. Because we don't believe we're the light that's all powerful. So the question we can ask Jesus, is this more powerful? We ask ourselves in honesty, God, is this symptom more powerful than Jesus? No. Am I willing to see that this is not more powerful than Christ?
I am willing. I mean, there is a willingness. My ego wants, experience tells me otherwise, but I am willing.
And you'll find that chapter 20 will help tremendously with it too, as well, because so many of those desires, we start seeing through them and how we relish them. It's just a natural, yes, he just says it's a very natural transfer of training to all body symptoms, to anything. It becomes very natural extension to anything that's appearing in consciousness. We just realize, wait a minute, this is a twitch. All twitches are the same. They're misperception. They're a perception that this twitch has value, and I don't have to place value in it. I can just ask Jesus to release it to a miracle.
I guess my question is, because I've been dealing with all of this for so long, and it just is like getting worse and worse, that if it doesn't change, how can I still come to peace? How can I still experience a healing? Like a liberation from it, you know, like even if it's still there, how can I not let it affect me?
So the healing's in the mind, and then the body symptoms reflect the mind. So we just stay with Jesus, and what he shows us needs to be forgiven. No body symptom is more powerful than our divine nature. It's just that consciousness is a play to make it seem that we're susceptible to body symptoms. So then a lot of teachers are saying, oh, how can I be at peace with these body symptoms? No, how am I using these body symptoms to deny myself peace right now? Like, how am I desiring an experience to use body symptoms to distract me from seeing that I am the light within? And then Jesus can help us through a miracle to show us that the value we're placing on body symptoms is not what we think it is, in the desire for the experience of body symptoms. So as the forgiveness comes, they just like fall away. So some things he tells you to look at. Other things, as I've said, I'll ask him about a symptom. Do I look at that? And he says, no, because it'll fall away naturally as the desires are seen through, the desire to experience something other than God, the desire to experience something other than light. So they just start falling away. So consciousness makes it seem like we cannot, you know, we're trying to get in this little rocket and we're going to blast off toward peace, and it's going to get really bumpy and rocky. And we even have to look at the desire for experience of bumpy and rocky, you know, a desire for experience to seem like the symptoms will never go away, or the desire for the experience like it's been a really long time, so they probably can't. All those doubt thoughts, we have to go, and that's why we have our joining buddies. Just jump and join and go, and I have a doubt thought that this is ever going away. Okay, Jesus, show me the desire for the experience that it feels like it's never going away. Okay, I have, you know, and just we just get persistent and we keep looking at where we're using all these things with the body to say no to infinite nature. That's why what Jesus offering is so profoundly deep in a course, all the way. To release all body symptoms. That's pretty darn deep. But you can ask him, do I have the power to do that? And see if he says no. No, I hear yes immediately. Because we're the light. Because the light doesn't have body symptoms. Doesn't mean perception, but it'll be unified possession. It's perception. Pain, you can ask him, Jesus, is pain a fragmented perception? It's a projection. It's a desire to project some proof of a body. So all I have to do is forgive the fragment. And then you could call it reunification, but just kind of the projection of it. It's a little projection to try and prove a body exists and that we're weak and powerless. It's like, we don't have to accept that. So we just keep working. What do I look at now, Jesus? What do I look at now? What do I look at now? And then he leads us. Boom. Look at this. Boom. Look at that. Release that. Boom. All we have to know is, will you help me? Because we need that comfort. Are you there to help me, Jesus? I hear yes. And we thank you for bringing this, because this is a deep one. We all have we're bodies. So we believe we're bodies, and some of us have been in one for quite a time now. And we have to see that this desired experience, but that we're powerful enough that Jesus is promising we can burn through all that. You can ask him, am I powerful enough to just burn through this with you? Is pain natural to me, Jesus? So am I willing to look at all pain to see it does not exist? And just go for it. Don't stop us now. So great, Kathy. You always have the best, good questions.
I just want to share one thing really. It came to me in this when I heard him say, "I am the light," many years ago. I participated in a shamanic journey class. It was like just a one-day thing, and we were all laying on the floor, and the teacher, the facilitator, was, you know, pounding the drum and guiding us on a shamanic journey. And it's the first time I'd ever done anything like that. And, you know, so I visualized myself, you know, entering the underworld, you know, by going through a tree and then down through the roots and then down. And then I came out into like this vast desert, and I was just walking alone. And all this time I'm, you know, I'm thinking, oh, this is just me making this up, right? My own imagery. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this hawk came, this huge hawk just came and like from behind, and then flipped around and put its talons on my shoulder and looked at me and said, "You are the light." And then it left, and that was the end of my journey. And the interesting thing is, this facilitator, even though I was in complete silence, you know, with my eyes closed, she knew that I had an experience. And this room was packed. I mean, people were laying literally like feet to shoulder, you know, arm to arm in this room. And afterwards she pointed to me and she said, "You had an experience, didn't you?" And I said, "Yeah." I just thought I'd share that. I hadn't thought about that in a long time.
Does it feels complete? It's beautiful. Feels like love. Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions for Jesus today? Thank you, mighty companion, beloveds. Thank you, Jesus. These are great questions. And he's reminding me it's so much love in this. He will tell us even what questions we need to ask him and gently lead us to see these, that he will answer our questions and answer them directly, and we can all hear him and then speak his voice. Rocket ship straight up. Thank you, Jesus. We love y'all. Love y'all.